Hello,
Hi,
Robbie, and Marie's here too, right?
I think so. It's her picture's frozen.
Sometimes I think she's still doing phone calls or something, and just
Ah, how
yeah,
are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. Thank you for asking. Yeah,
In the
life
background,
is
that looks
good.
like the East Coast back there with the.
We're in the East Coast, and I am fortunate to live with a state park in my backyard.
And
So,
was that on Martha's Vineyard or something?
no, we're on the mainland, but we're on the South Shore of Boston, about 20 miles south of Boston.
I
So,
lived in Baltimore and then I worked one summer on Cape Cod, so I'm
uh-huh.
familiar with the area. What's your area called?
It's the town is Sharon, and we're surrounded by Easton, Brockton, Walpole, Foxborough. Um, the Cape is lovely. That must have been a wonderful summer.
I think it was like 1968 or 9. So it was a whole different world back then. Nobody was there, and we go, rolling down
Oh,
what are the sand dunes at Wellfleet
hmm,
Beach, and it was just really fun. Yeah.
yeah. Did you do the bicycle rail trails?
No, I didn't become a bicyclist till I was like in my 40s or 50s or whatever. But yeah, no, I was working as a lifeguard waitress, just having crazy experiences on the Cape.
Oh,
Yeah. But
that's nice. And you lived in Baltimore. My mom's family was from Baltimore. Balmer. They called
Baltimore,
it
yeah, no,
Balmer. Yes.
yeah, that's why I went to college and high school. But I grew up in Wisconsin, and now I'm in California, so I've had the experience of all the different areas. And yeah, have you
That's
have you always
nice.
been in Boston there?
I grew up in Western Massachusetts, and so that's really where my heart lives, out in the Berkshire Mountains. But um, it's okay here. It's rural. I could never live in a city. I don't. I need to hear birds, and I need to see deer and fox and squirrels and chipmunks. Oh,
I
so this is
agree.
perfect.
So, do you live there because your husband wants to live there, or why, when you want to be on the west part, why are you there?
Yeah, well, he's originally from New York, and we settled here. Um, I never went back to the town I grew up because it was toxic, and I, and 1 hour further west was heaven. So we did used to have a camper, and we would go to camping out in the Berkshires, but then we sold it. So.
Uh,
Hi,
Morning.
Adele.
Hi, Adele. Do you two know each other then from the book club?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool, cool. Um, Lisa's not. We were talking about where we live, and I was hearing more about Boston and where she is in Western Massachusetts. And I think it's true. We know where we fit, and we know where we don't fit. I totally did not fit in Baltimore, but
Oh, ew. And
I've
that
never
was high
lived
school.
anywhere else, so I'm not quite sure. I've
mm,
never given it a shot.
um,
So,
it's kind of fun to see. They're geographical channelers who can actually tell you where your energy is best.
really?
Oh, that's fascinating.
I know, I know. I could feel it really good in Spain and California. Um, Wisconsin wasn't bad. Yeah.
So you've tried different areas of the country,
Yeah. I
right?
grew up in Wisconsin and Michigan. Hi, Ilona. And then we moved to the East Coast. Then we moved to the California. So, hey, Marie came on too. So it's been fun. And Marilyn, hey, everybody's here. Um, Very cool. So Lisa's friend, I don't know if you knew it was her friend. I just saw it on Facebook. He died pretty suddenly, and that's why she's not here. I don't know the details. Do you know, Marilyn, who it was or?
No, just what I saw on Facebook. I
Yeah.
mean, she told us about it, but I didn't know him personally.
Well,
Is this the gentleman who's been like a father to her?
no, it was somebody else where it was
Somebody else?
unexpected. Yeah. And she posted a thing on Facebook where he was very entertaining and, just watching him made me laugh, so it's a loss for the world for sure.
Hmm.
And then Mary Beth has a doctor's appointment, so she's not going to be here.
And Donna does as well.
Okay. Okay. How's everybody doing?
Happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween.
Yes,
I see
orange.
orange.
I'm in costume. I'm an old lady.
I'm a nonconformist.
Good.
You didn't do a very good job. Don't look so old.
Thank you.
Lousy costume.
I agree, Carolyn. I wouldn't call you Idell an old lady at all.
Somebody once mistook her for my daughter.
That was very,
It was
you want to
really-
tell the story?
My mother introduced me to Idell. Actually, she introduced Idell and I. Idell and I went with my mother to play bingo because my mother was into it, like once a year or whatever we would go with. And she introduced us to an older friend, and she said, "Oh, you'll have to really speak up because she's almost deaf." And we introduced each other, and she said, "Oh, and is this your daughter?" And I said, "Oh, you're blind too."
Not to her.
She couldn't hear me. It was okay. But that was very telling.
I
So,
only went to bingo for the Danish, but
yeah, she fell asleep. She fell asleep and drooled on her card.
I drooled on my cards. And this was years ago. We were in our early 30s, so
Yes.
you can imagine.
So Marilyn, I think it's just you've been an old soul because here you were only in your 30s and they thought she was your daughter, right?
Oh, yeah, no, it was. I think it had to do with my face, but maybe. Thank you.
No, it's like that. Like, is that your daughter or are you pregnant? And you don't have either of those. You know, it's not your daughter.
That's happened to me. It was embarrassing. Yeah. Somebody said, "Congratulations." And I said, "No, I just put on weight." It was after menopause, too. So
That's a tough one. Oh, geez.
Yeah. What is that belly that comes after menopause? I don't get it.
Loss of estrogen.
Yeah.
Loss of estrogen. Mhm.
Really? Because
Mhm.
I take the bioidentical hormone thing, so I don't know.
It's
I don't have an excuse like that.
But it's not, I mean, the body's just different. It's just changed.
yeah.
No, no.
That puts you on a sense of normalcy to a certain degree, but it's just done what it's done. Which is normal, it's where we're supposed to go as women.
But aren't we supposed to be able to think outside the box so that we switch what normal really is and we start imagining a new
So,
reality?
I think the mere fact that we're saying how young Idell looks, how people are in their 90s and then they're gray haired and looking old, and that's what's changed. We take better care of ourselves, we do more to support our bodies, and we live longer and we have a higher quality of life. But it really is about self-care. That's what makes a difference.
Have
Mhm.
I told you, I'm in this running group and we're not running anymore. We're mostly walking, but this 86-year-old, did I tell you the story about this 86-year-old who fell? Did I tell you about that?
You told
Oh.
us about the 80s.
Oh, that he got right up after?
Yes. He
Yeah,
just
yeah.
rolled and talked the whole time, rolled onto the grass, came back up and just kept on talking. And it's like, okay, we can raise the bar. If I can watch an 86-year-old do that, yeah, we can do that. Yeah. So I don't know if we're going to have a small group. I think we should give it a few more minutes. I keep checking to see if anybody's writing in. Marie, what are the words for this chapter?
It's chapter 10, places we go when the heart is open: love, lovelessness, heartbreak, trust, self-trust, betrayal, defensiveness, flooding, and hurt.
I like the first part. Okay.
I thought it was a very interesting chapter, but with this being such a small group, I think there could be something much more interesting around this chapter.
Much more. What was the word?
Intimate around
Oh,
this.
intimate. Okay.
It's a potent chapter about the heart chakra, really.
Cool. All right, we can take it in whatever direction it goes. I do have a short meditation that I thought I could start with, but maybe we give it a couple more minutes. And is that okay if I do that? Yeah. Okay.
So what I wanted to offer while we're having a couple more minutes was, I know not everybody liked drinking the cacao, but I know there are a whole bunch of new people on our group since the last time I did it. And I would be happy to host one in December as my Christmas present to the group, if you want to do it again.
Sure.
I was going to ask you.
Well, then I must have read your mind, Marie. So yeah, I would be happy to do that, and people can get the ceremonial cacao and have it ahead of time. And for those who don't really want that, they can just use a dark chocolate, hot chocolate mix. It won't have the same physiological effect, but mentally and emotionally, it will have the same experience. So, all right, well, let's wait till next week when, more people are there and Lisa's there, and then I'm going to be gone the last 2 Mondays in December. So it has to be the first 2 Mondays, and I'm happy to do that.
That's, Ilona, you're so sweet the way you give to us so much. We all appreciate it. Yes.
It's my pleasure. Plus, it's
So is this an in-person thing or?
we do it virtually. You all have to
Oh, okay.
How you have to have it there because you make it as part of the ceremony, but then I do the whole channeling and the music and all that kind of stuff. And
Do you send a recipe for it or?
No, you buy it. Buy it,
Oh,
and I send you all the instructions and the sheets for
okay.
the ceremony. But I take you through it. And so
Okay.
ceremonial cacao does not taste great. It is a ceremonial experience. I actually like it. I like it. Other people don't. But it's because it's filled with all the minerals and all of the vitamins, and it's completely unrefined. You get the benefit of the compassion moving through the body, and it is very lovely.
Okay. All right. I'm in.
I think I was able to order it through Amazon, after you told us what to get. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's good.
Thank you.
Fun.
It was Maria, it was your birthday. Happy birthday on Friday, right?
It was on Friday. Yes.
Happy
53.
birthday. Oh,
Happy belated.
Yeah. What's so funny is that most of the year I kept thinking I was 53 and then I go, oh no, I'm 52. So now I'm 53. So I'm gonna have another year thinking I'm 53.
Why do we do that to ourselves? I'm almost, and we're always living in that next year, right? Yeah. Your birthday was the same day as Gwen, the little baby that was born with Liz. Did you know that?
No.
She was born on your birthday. So Liz actually sent out an invitation to everybody to come to Gwen's 1-year birthday party. If you wanted, you had to just respond, and she sent the invitation. And I got to go with her. And Gwen at age 1, and I've seen her a few times, she came and sat on my lap and she put her hands on my cheeks and she went like to kiss me. Like, it was so cute.
Oh.
She's just this love that is so sweet. And I had dreamt about her before Liz had the baby. I said, Liz, I've seen your baby. She's got this really dark hair and dark skin, and all she wants to do is give and be loved and give love. And she came out exactly like I had seen her and had texted her, where her son was very white skinned, red hair. It was just like, so it wasn't like it was programmed like this. It was so interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
So very beautiful. Yeah.
And how's your new baby?
So, because we got COVID, Megan hasn't let us come back. I know it's funny. Not funny. I mean, thank goodness they're okay. And I get to see the new Connor on Saturday for the first time after a month of being in timeout. But that was
I'm sorry, Janet. I know that's hard. What a weird life we live, right now.
I just kept saying, this is interesting. And we've really looked at it to try to figure out, why would something like, my son is the sweetest guy on the planet. He would never he's been the best about COVID of anybody. And, for him to expose us all like that. And I love Megan's thing. She said, I think it made me more aware. So I've protected Connor more. And in the long run, it's going to be something good. And it's so nice that she's translated it like that. And
Yeah, that's a positive spin, and that's very healthy. And you know, everybody's okay now, right?
everybody's okay. And I got an extra like 5 days with my son. So I'm going, okay, if I have to have COVID to have you near me, I'll do that. Hey, Penny, how you doing?
Fine, sorry to be late.
You're right on time. We were
You're
waiting.
right on time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, here I am.
Okay. So Marilyn's going to do our protection, and then I'm going to do a short meditation, and then Marie will help us. And since we have a small group, it'll be very nice to go into love and all of the wonderful things in chapter 10.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, the kitty says it's okay. She just meowed. And take a breath. And we clothe ourselves in a robe of light composed of the love, the power and wisdom of divine consciousness. We wear it not only for our own protection, but also so that those who see it or come in contact with it will be drawn to divine and heal. Let your light surround us, let it permeate us, let it fill us up and emanate from us to each other and back to the light. And let us always remember that we are the light. And remember that every breath is mouth to mouth with divine consciousness. And there it is.
So beautiful. So following in what Marilyn said about the light, let's imagine that protective, loving, strong, amazing white light surrounding each one of us as we go on our journey to whatever body of water you would like to imagine that you're floating on. And you can float on a raft, on a blow up mat, on something that's protecting you so you don't have to touch the water, or something that allows you to touch the water. And you're just floating, whether it's in the ocean in Hawaii or a stream that's warm or a lake that's nearby, whatever would feel really good to you. So go ahead and bring that forward. You protected by the white light, surrounded by the white light, being the white light, and floating, flowing with that wonderful source, water. And as we're feeling relaxed and realizing that this is a time to flow with life, to flow with all that's happening, the energy, the changes, the adapting that we have to do. The floating helps us to sit in peace, lie in peace, and to really reflect on everything that we feel gratitude for today, Halloween 2022. Gratitude that we're here all together on this call. Gratitude for the women who aren't here but have been here or want to be here with us. Gratitude for our lives, our experiences, our families, our pets, our wonderful friends. Gratitude for nature and the beauty of the trees and the flowers and the beauty of the birds and how they sing. And the feeling that the sun brings when days are cooler like this, and how it brings warmth and protection. And the sun is there to symbolically let us know about abundance. We don't have to pay the sun. We don't have to do anything to give back. The warmth and the light flows freely through us and around us to help us understand abundance is everywhere. So as you're feeling all those wonderful feelings, we also want to do some healing. So as we think back to any recent challenges we've had, whether they're challenges with our thoughts, challenges with our body, challenges with people, challenges with news, any challenge that you'd like to bring forward to heal and to learn from. Because I think we all know we're here to learn and to grow and to allow life to happen. So as you think of that challenge, if you can move it to a neutral position, like that was interesting, or something very neutral. So that if our ancestors or spiritual guides want us to learn, what is it that we need to learn? We can ask for help right now from any or all spiritual guides to let us know what it is we need to learn today, what it is that we need to be able to help ourselves and others, what it is we need in our awareness to allow us to be a part of the transformation that's taking place within and around us. So you may have a certain spiritual guide or an ancestor that you turn to, asking, what is it that I need to know? What more can I learn? What more can I heal to be the light we want to be? So as you take a moment to really experience that, to hear the message, to feel the message. And perhaps like the water, it's about flowing with life, not in fear, but in courage or fearlessness, as was taught in Alona's book. Courage, fearlessness, to experience whatever it is that we're here to experience together and alone. And instead of retreating or hiding or running, imagine yourself floating and flowing like we started with that water scene in this meditation. And allow the white light to allow any of the challenges to be healed and for you to continue, each of us, to move forward in a peaceful, flowing manner. And sending love and healing to all of the women on this group, to our families and friends, to the planet, to the animals, and allowing that positive energy to fill our hearts and souls. And taking a breath in, even feeling that word love that we'll be studying today. Allowing that to be our guide. And breathing in that mouth to mouth air from the universe. Knowing that we're alive. Feeling connected to the center of the earth and expanding way beyond our bodies. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, stretching out and coming back to being here with all of us.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Yes.
beautiful.
Spot on, Janet. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia.
Was on a sailboat in the Greek Isles. So good to imagine it. Thank you, Janet.
I think you win. What a wonderful place to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, we have to not limit ourselves. Have you done that, Ilona? Been on the sailboat of the Greek islands?
That's one of my goals. It's after Machu Picchu. Then
I think I'm going to jump on. I'm going to jump on that one too. Okay. Oh,
I was at the lake at Idell's house.
oh.
Where were you, Idell?
At the lake at my house. I didn't see you there though.
Our
my
eyes were
my
closed.
raft was big. It was like a mattress and it was blue.
Oh, that was you.
Such wonderful connections. Anybody else want to share where they were or what they experienced? Or
Can I say what my challenge was?
for sure.
Well, it was twofold. One extremely minor. It started out my kitten he fell out of the window this morning. The second I caught him, and then he proceeded to do something to try and lift the lid off of a straw hamper that had two things piled on it because he's continuing to eat fabric. So, and then he's crying. He's manic. He's driving me crazy. Cute cat. Somebody take him, please. Hi. And Janet, and I'll say this to Janet because you said the roommate experience would be good. It's ending on a sour note. Just saying. So that's my other challenge.
So, Sophia, do you know how to use Rescue Remedy for pets?
I do. I have it.
You
I have it, and I have plugged in the feel-aways all over the place, the pheromones that keep them calm. And I've tried extra food. I'm on a list for an animal behaviorist because I'm afraid he's going to kill himself. So, but he's driving me crazy. He is absolutely driving me crazy. It's the stupidest thing ever. But he's just manic. He is. He's like very hyperactive, and he's over a year, so I don't know what that is. And thank you for all of your patience. I don't have anything else to say about my cats.
Except he's ADD. He's ADD. We got to get his neurotransmitters to work. You know, one thing that Ilona taught me about healing the spirit or the soul to soul. My dog is so much better after I practice doing that. I just go to her spirit. It's like a boy, her spirit, and I try to heal it from soul to soul.
That's
Oh,
cool.
I have to understand more about how to do that because I'm willing. I'm tapped out in terms of ideas.
So you really anchor into your own soul's energy and you ask to connect with the soul of the cat. And he's got a story to tell. There's something about, did you get him as a kitten?
I know everything about him. I have his mother, and I met his fosters on several, instances before I adopted. Like I spent 3 hours with them before, so I know everything.
All right. So it's really talking with his soul about what he's really needing, and then going from there. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of oral gratification that needs to be addressed there. So something happened in the bonding process.
Yeah, and that's so true. He is not bonded with his mother. I thought it would be great. I'd bring his mom. They'd be happy. Oh no, they fight all the time. And he's the instigator always. It's constant. So yeah, I will try that, Ilona. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that's very kind of you to share that.
We're
I
so
think it'll
lucky to
work.
have each other to learn from, aren't we? Yeah.
I know it's really great. I feel very, very fortunate. And let's just do everything all about me this hour. Sorry.
Good.
Funny.
It's okay to take time. We all want to know each other and know what's going on. Each one of us is so important. So that's so cool. Anything else before we start with the book? I know Marie went to get it, right?
Yeah, not get it. I had somebody at the door. So,
Well, go ahead.
should we
Penny.
start?
No, maybe you should go ahead with the book. It's better. I don't want to take up. Well, okay, I'll just say yes. Yesterday I had a huge challenge that made me extremely tense. I'm on the HOA board of my building. Not a big one, there's only 21 apartments in it, and I'm the only one that lives here and is on the HOA board, lives here, owns, and on the board. So I got in the middle of a situation having to do with tenants above and below each other who are having problems. And the ones on the low part were people, the man has some medical issues, and he's from Iran, but has been in this country a long time. His wife is from Ukraine, and it hasn't been here, I don't think, that long. And they've been together since, I don't know when, but anyway, they moved here in June. I think they moved from Ukraine, which is stressful, I'm sure, to be there. And he's hearing a lot of noise above him. These two young ladies live there. They're 24-year-olds. All intents and purposes seem to be very nice. And so it was a kind of a situation where they're defending their turf. He's, upset about what he feels is a lot of noise coming in. I don't think there's a whole lot of noise abatement in between the floors. So anyway, this has been going on for quite a while. And yesterday we decided we would have a meetup, meet together, and all of us that I knew of, that's all I knew about, plus our manager who would be on the phone. Well, it turned out that one of the young lady's father came in town to deal with this because the man in the lower apartment had threatened legal action. So you can imagine, I mean, maybe you can't imagine. I haven't actually been in a situation like that before. So anyway, it caused me a lot of anxiety. And when it got to the point where they had seen each other and talked to each other and expressed all this emotion. And, I finally said to them, what's good about this communication? This is what should have been going on before. And somebody had mentioned, why didn't the people down below, put a note on the door of the people above that they, try to communicate with them that way? I mean, it's just been, it's communication. People just sometimes take another route. It just doesn't, and then end up with this. So I don't think there'll be any legal action. The father of the daughter was terribly relieved because he's a co-signer on their rent. It was just, I don't know how to explain it, but it was, to me, it was something I had not dealt with before in terms of, because you all are therapists, or some of you are, and I'm sure you have all this going on all the time. And I just thought, well, what am I going to do? What good am I going to be? But I just listened the whole time. And finally, they asked me what I thought, because both of them, both sides felt comfortable with me. They knew I wasn't one way or the other. So anyway, so that was my challenge, and this was a nice meditation because I just went out in the ocean.
Well, congratulations to you. That's a really tough situation.
Yeah.
And you brought some gravitas, I think, to the situation, and some common sense. That's, to me, a perfect illustration of what happens when people choose not to communicate and avoid.
Yeah.
It goes to the 4 agreements, Marie. Kind of being direct, being who you are, and communicating, right?
Yeah.
And this is what happens. It always turns sour, ugly.
Yeah, and the man that was in the lower apartment went to the manager instead of, and the manager also, I think, maybe suggested that they go directly, but for some reason or other, he didn't do that. And we had, but besides the manager on the phone, we had the owner of the apartment, the lower apartment. I mean, it was just really something. But it was over, and when it was over, I said, "Oh, please, I don't ever want to get in that again." But I probably, it can happen. But most people just settle them, shall we say, out of court on their own. Okay, well, thank you. I didn't mean to take up so much time.
No. But what if it was to learn how you can bring peace and light to something?
Yeah, that's true. And I that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be there, just hold the space, be there for them, because they were all suffering. And it was, if I had not been able to be there or something like that, I'm not quite sure how they would have handled it. But because I just needed, I guess I was in a position where I needed to be there in my body and there, It didn't help to have the manager on the phone. He wasn't gonna, it needed a physical body, I guess. So I did. I mean, I was happy to do it, but I must say it was very, very challenging to me and everybody, really. But now it's over, I hope.
We're all going to have challenges. To me, it sounds like Ilona's book, like that her energy was there to help, just like your
Yes.
book was saying. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure.
And
Okay.
Marilyn, what did you want to say?
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's so interesting because we hold the space for people, but it's really holding that higher vibration and holding the energy,
Yeah.
the listening and the presence and, the consciousness, and you brought it to it. So it's really magnificent. That's what we're all looking to do. It's really a beautiful example of doing it,
Thank you.
and it's the energy and intention.
Yeah.
So thank you, Penny, for letting us
Yeah.
know about the story. Yeah.
You're welcome.
We learn from it ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
We ready, Marie?
I guess. All right. So I'm wondering, how many of you believe love is an emotion or an action, a verb?
Mm.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a one that believes it's both, but in Brené's book, she defines what love is and what we do for it, right? I'm trying to figure out where is it in the book.
Oh, let me see.
I thought I had it. Oh, here it is. It's on page 187. It says, it's always a risk to define a term like love. I personally think it might be best left to the poets, artists. So we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known, and when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. Love is not something we give or get. It's something that we nurture and grow, a connection that can be cultivated between two people. Only when it exists within each one of them. We can love others only as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can survive these injuries only if they're acknowledged, healed, and rare. Rare.
Yes, I love that, Marie. I love that because the bottom line is if children are raised with rare experiences of shame, blame, disrespect, and betrayal, they become much better, grounded, stable adults. And if parents really, really choose to love themselves and love each other in ways that are much more grounded in practical care, our world would be dramatically different.
Yeah. So when she said rare, that really just stood out for me because I listened to the book too, as I'm trying to multitask. And so I thought rare, it just kind of just stood out. And I was thinking about this because the Four Agreements also talks about love. And Don Miguel Ruiz went on to write a book on mastery of love. And the way he laid it out more so in the mastery of love is that he put love and fear on a continuum. And he talked about love being compassionate, it has empathy, right? But he stated it as being ruthless in the sense that love doesn't feel sad for someone. Love doesn't sympathize because these two emotions stem out of fear and not love. And that love on its own, it's intelligent and it naturally knows where to flow, where to go, what to do, right? And I always find it interesting, ever since I've had all of this exposure, I think about all the songs and the movies that are written about love and how love hurts. And I've come to the understanding that love isn't what hurts. It's really the fear that causes the hurt. right? She talks about heartbreak. Yes, there is such a thing as heartbreak because it's the loss of love of something that is important to us and that we care for. So there is that emotional pain in that sense, in that kind of hurt. But the other kinds of emotional hurts that we have really stem from fear. So I found this section on love, and then lovelessness, and what were the other ones that she had? Betrayal, right? Betrayal is the other thing and trust. So I was thinking about, in the sense of that betrayal piece, it does cause emotional pain, but not because of love, it's because of fear. The same way with trust, when that is breached, it's not because of love, it's because of fear. Trust allows us to be vulnerable with someone. And when we don't trust someone, we withhold being vulnerable with that person. And so we put up that defense wall. So this just kind of reaffirmed everything I knew. Some of the definitions that she gave about it was good. But I think what really stood out for me is that she was differentiating between the emotional hurt, being emotionally hurt, and versus the hurt itself, And so being emotionally hurt is that something happened to you, felt it intensely. And then being hurt is if somebody went out of their way to call you a name and that just kind of hit hard, that's a different kind of hurt. So anyway, what do you guys think? What did you find interesting about this section of love and trust?
I liked the braving, the acronym braving.
Oh yes, braving. Almost forgot that. Thank you for bringing it up.
I liked that a lot. I thought that was a wonderful way. I mean, living a braving life.
Yes. So she spent about 10 years developing this concept, and the acronym is the word she's using for the acronym is braving, and the B stands for boundaries. You respect my boundaries. When you're not clear about what's okay and not okay, you ask, you're willing to say no. Reliability. You do what you say you'll do. At work, this means staying aware of your competencies and limitations so you don't overpromise and are able to deliver on commitments and balance competing priorities. A is for accountability. You own your mistakes, apologize, and make amends. There's the first agreement from the 4 agreements, right? Being impeccable with your word. Vault. You don't share information or experiences that are not yours to share. I need to know that my confidences are kept and that you're not sharing with me any information about other people that should be confidential. I is for integrity. You choose courage over comfort. You choose what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy. And you choose to practice your values rather than simply professing them. N is for non-judgment. I can ask for what I need, and you can ask for what you need. We can talk about how we feel without judgment. We can ask each other for help without judgment. And then G for generosity. You extend the most generous interpretation possible to the intentions, words, and actions of others.
Wow.
What was the V word again?
Vault.
Vault, yeah.
Like you're like a safe, a vault where you keep
a
the
lockbox.
okay.
Or
Put
something.
your money.
Yeah. So, and then she actually teaches this concept. She's got one for that. She goes into organizations and teaches them courses on leadership. And this is one of the ones that she teaches to organizations. Oh, the other piece too was self-trust and how important self-trust is. And it's that I found interesting in itself because I always think about the doubts that I have, and it stems really if I'm trusting myself, right? Am I really following what my intuition's telling me? And sometimes the cognitive piece gets in there and doesn't always allow us to really connect with intuition and what our gut is telling us, because we tend to be more logical and the world kind of pushes the left brain more than the right brain. So
Marie,
Anyway.
could we look at that, the self-trust? Because I'm trying to explore where I don't feel that self-trust. And, sometimes it's hidden from us. And so I was thinking, could other people share so that we could try to figure that one out? Because
Yeah.
that it creates the sabotage of our
Yes.
success
Yes.
in life, right?
So she's saying self-trust is normally the first casualty of failure or mistakes. We stop trusting ourselves when we hurt others, get hurt, feel shame, or question our worth. So it really comes down to our negative self-beliefs. If you tap into what your negative self-belief is, then that's going to be one of the offshoots that leads into that self-trust piece.
So if I think of anything that I don't trust myself in, it's getting married because I've been divorced twice. And so, but then I think of it like I like freedom more than marriage. And so I don't see it as that it's a negative. I see it that I just went down a pathway that I'm not good with.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'm fooling myself either.
Or is it possible that maybe this is the journey you're coming to learn in this life? How to feel free.
Could be.
Not bad.
I agree, Penny.
I think in terms of self-trust, are you trusting your beliefs? Are you trusting your feelings? Are you trusting your thoughts? Are you trusting your memories? Are you trusting your body? If we're really going to look at self-trust, you have to look at the 5 elements that make you you, and really look at what in those elements are the things that you're a little shaky on, and then be very honest about that so then you can address how you can shore up that foundation. And I think a big issue with self-trust definitely puts you potentially in conflict with the world, because what's true for you isn't necessarily true for the world. And if you choose yourself, inherently you're separating yourself from an experience, a culture, a consciousness that can't tolerate who you are. And so then at that point, if you are trusting yourself, you can find a way to navigate through it. If you stop trusting yourself, then you lose your inherent wholeness and you lose your ability to continue to navigate in those hidden fashions. And that's where the danger is most severe, because slowly you lose more and more and more of you until you can't recognize yourself.
Yeah.
Could you go over those 5 again? I'm sorry, I didn't write them down, but
your beliefs in your spirit, your thoughts in your mental body, your emotion, your memories, and your physical cells. These are the 5 aspects that create the incarnational experience of you. And all 5 really need to be honored and respected as yours, because they're unique to everyone.
I missed some. Would you mind saying them?
Beliefs, which is your spiritual body, your thoughts, which is your mental body, your feelings, which is your emotional body, your memories, which is your etheric body. And those memories in that etheric body contain memories of all your human incarnations on this planet, past and future. And then your physical body, the cells that experience life force with your personality.
Okay.
so Ilona, like, when you're raised in a family and people, it's like you're not even raised in the same family because the memories are so different. Does anybody else have, and is that why? Because we're getting confused by past lives, or?
So sometimes, right, a couple has chosen to bring you in, but you're very clear in that soul contract that you're not going to be a part of that family necessarily. That's where you can get adopted, or you can run away, or you get foster homes or something. And that's just part of it. That family can't unwrap the gift that is you. And so then you move on to where you need to be. Likewise, children who come in bereft of parents have chosen that to be chosen by an adoptive family. Find the proper place for them to grow and develop. So everyone has a place in which they belong. The way they land there is very different.
She went on ahead to apply the braving tool to the self-trust concept. So B, she puts B, did I respect my own boundaries? Was I clear about what's okay and what's not okay? And then R is, was I reliable? Did I do what I said I was going to do? A, did I hold myself accountable? V, did I respect the vault and share appropriately? I, did I act from my integrity? N, did I ask for what I needed? Was I non-judgmental about needing help? And then G, was I generous towards myself?
So Janet, as I can give you an example. When I was in traditional social work, all my skills started to really come alive, and I could do things that other people couldn't do, but of course it wasn't sanctioned. And so it came to a point where I had to make a decision. I was going to get really sick if I stayed there and not evolve into who I could eventually be, or yet I didn't have any way to really support myself well if I really trusted myself and jumped off that cliff. And finally, I had a colleague of mine say to me, I will pay you to quit. You're going to have a heart attack if you don't leave.
Oh,
And when she said that, I took that to heart and I said, okay, I'm quitting, whether I have something or not, I'm just quitting. Thank you. You were what I needed to pull myself over. And so I quit, and this is where I'm at now. But none of that would have happened unless I was true to myself.
Right.
But
Right.
to be true to myself, I had to really separate from traditional. You talked about you break all the rules. I break all the rules and more. All the rules. I break them all.
because the rules aren't
Yes.
really always for us.
Right.
They're not. We make our own, or we accept the ones that work or not. I mean, thank God you did that. I mean, you're a terrific person and therapist and everything else. And I can't imagine what it would be like, because it's almost like suicide when you
Yes.
can't be who you really are.
Yes. That's an excellent way to really look at that, because you actually kill yourself while you're still living.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's almost like you're walking down the wrong, you're on the wrong pathway, you're going the wrong direction, and you go, do I keep on going or do I change directions? And so many people force themselves to keep on going in pain, their body's hurting, their emotions are hurting, but it's like, I have to do this. Or do you go, I'm going to be like Alona and go, screw this, I'm going to go do what I need to do.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, and even when you do what you want to do, it's not always, a seamless journey. There's lots of bumps along the way, which I think also can cause the doubt. But if you listen to your inner self, you're on the right track and you just keep forging ahead. But it's not, I don't think it's always an easy journey.
We have to learn a lot. So it has to be a little bit difficult, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sophia, were you saying something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'm listening to everybody. Oh, Penny, you're so wise. Yeah, and I'm thinking of what everybody's saying. And you, Janet, you're talking about doing, you and Alona talking about staying someplace where you shouldn't be, going a path you shouldn't go. And for me, I did that for decades because of the values that were inculcated in me, by my upbringing, and, a just sort of general societal pressure that I interpreted, as like the right thing to do rather than taking care of myself. That's hard to go against that. I see somebody over there. You understand what that means?
Well, you reminded me of something that I used at work frequently. Is anyone here familiar with the poem, "The Hole in the Sidewalk"?
Mm-mm.
Or where you fall in and then you
Yeah.
keep, yes.
Yeah. So if I may, I'd like to share it because I think it kind of relates how we will stay in a situation because it's a habit. So it's an autobiography in 5 chapters, but it's short. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street.
I love that.
Brilliant.
It's really good.
And it can apply to so many things, bad habits, substance abuse,
Thank you for that.
How
I'm
you
really
interact.
thinking hard on
Marriages.
that one.
you.
Because I can see myself in different stages on these things with different activities or people or whatever. It's very interesting. That was wonderful, Robbie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for letting me share it.
It makes us laugh that we're all in the same boat, right?
That interesting self-doubt, what a big piece it is. You know, and there isn't a time in our life where we don't bump into it. I mean, we keep bumping into it, just like the poem, right? Until you choose something different. But I have to say though, sometimes when you are in that space of being comfortable, it's hard to put yourself out there.
Well, you know that. You just did it.
I know. That's why I'm saying it. That's why I'm saying it, because it's a real journey. I keep asking myself, had I known how painful it was going to be, would I have done it? And the answer I come back to is yes. Yes, knowing what I know and what a journey it's been. But it's still, that self-doubt always kind of lingers a little bit, you know, but when you pay attention to your gut, you know, your intuition that say, no, you are on track, just stay the course. Because I tell you, I've had lots of conversations with myself that keep saying, I don't know about this, you know, I think I should just stop everything. And then there's a louder voice that comes within that says, you stay the course, stay the course.
Doesn't the pain get better though, Marie?
For me, I went down a rabbit hole for a little bit, and I'm just finally starting to emerge. Remember, I was in this marriage for 33 years, so I've never been alone per se. And I think it was the comfort of knowing somebody is with me. Because yesterday I was reflecting on the whole thing, and I realized how many times I just accepted things for the sake of getting along and not rocking the boat and tolerating things that were not honoring me,
Right.
you know, and at the same time, I also recognize that I still have great love for him, but we really are not matched like we used to be. But it is definitely difficult, I have to say. It's definitely a journey of one on this road.
Well, you know, it's interesting because the self-trust leads to self-love. You cannot love yourself if you don't trust yourself. And there's no way that you can really truly love another unless you've really learned what it means to love yourself. So those three are intimately connected, and they're constantly circling around, or they're constantly breaking.
Yeah. And how fear steps in at times to cause that doubt within. you know, because I was listening to Michael Singer the other day. He's got chapter 9, Let Go or Fall. I think it's the name of the chapter. And he was talking about that concept of just letting go, you know, and we really struggle with that. We make it much more difficult than it is. But as I was listening to it, he was talking about all these different things that you experience through life. And he's like, just stop. And I'm thinking, but there's certain things that is really hard to stop once your mind is attached to it, you know? And it's just this whole process of letting go all of these things that we create in our mind.
So much of it's in our mind. And, you know, when we're alone, we do start to learn to depend on ourselves and love ourselves more, because there's no one else there to do it. It's like, it's up to you, Marie, and there's no one to blame if things don't go well or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's a funny joke of a man who is falling over the cliff, and he's holding onto the rope, and the rope is fraying, and he's yelling up, God, please help me, the rope is breaking. And the God yells down, let go. And the God yells back up, is anybody else up there? I love it. Because sometimes you could hear that let go, and I'm going, are you kidding?
Right? Yeah.
But wasn't there a caveat that there was a ledge right below him, so he wasn't going to fall? But
I never knew that.
The message.
So, but anyway, Michael Singer was saying that fear is really a thing.
A thing?
A thing. He called it, fear is really a thing, you know?
Sorry.
And it's interesting, as much as we talk a lot about love, fear always is somehow or another weaves itself in there, because we have so many fears of many different things.
It's the opposite of love, isn't it?
Yes, they're opposites to each other. But if we're really honest, love is the soul and fear is the ego.
Yeah.
And at one point you surrender the ego to the soul, and then love really takes over.
There you go.
What a good segue, because on defensiveness, she says, at its core, defensiveness is a way to protect our ego and a fragile self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
There it is again, fear, right?
That's how the ego keeps us in line, right? It just keeps us on edge. And Lona says, we get the love to build up enough, then the fear and the ego. The ego is causing the fear, or all the changes that it wants us to do or keep us in a certain place.
Yeah,
can't have dominance over. But that's
for whatever reasons, fear and ego are friends.
Yeah.
No, the ego was created to scan for danger, to protect you. The ego only knows its job is to manage fear. That's its primary job. But I want to give you another definition of love. It's the expansion of the awareness of being. Love is the expansion of the awareness of being.
Yeah.
And if you really recognize love as that energy, it's constantly expanding your awareness of existence, of being, and it's not limited to a human. And so when you're able to really settle into love as the expansion of the awareness of being, then your connections on every level grow. And then you belong, and you're part of, and you're supported, and you're safe, and then your ability to thrive dramatically increases.
I would agree.
So would this be symbolic of what's going on in the world right now, where the ego is trying to fight so hard to create fear, and it's like egos are growing, or are, I don't know. And how does this play out? I don't know.
You have to remember, from the third dimensional human lives in fear, separation, and loss. That's our test, right? So this is now, we're in the last 10 years of this ego having control. Once we hit 2032, the soul begins to really move into more of the operating procedure of humanity. And in 2038, there's a real massive shift beyond who we are now. So we've got like another 16 years before really start to see significant change. However, this next 3 or 4 years is where that human ego is just totally freaking out because it can sense that it's doomed. And so there's this huge, acting out and hissy fits everywhere all over the world as people come to terms with the fact that, geez, the planet is not going to let our ego play out anymore. So either we get in line with the soul of the earth and figure out how to live differently, or we're doomed. And it's brought on by a planetary consciousness that is literally changing our weather patterns, which is literally changing the way we experience life and are governed around the world. And that's the forces that will actually move us forward into a soul-based living. But the next 3 to 4 years for people who are in that ego state, they're literally, and I don't use this word lightly, they're hell.
Yeah. Just look at Nancy Pelosi's husband if you want to see him.
Oh,
Oh, not good news.
that's frightening. That's frightening. And so this was my challenge recently. I like Twitter, and my challenge was letting go of my anger that Elon Musk is now the chief twat. I think he calls himself that.
Twit. He
I
used
think
the
he
word
said twit.
Same difference.
Thank you. Yeah, and then I think like one of his first tweets was pushing a conspiracy theory. And knowing that there are so many people running for office in November who are election deniers, I'm having a hard time letting go of that.
Of Twitter?
So Robbie,
No, letting go of my anger and
Right.
frustration.
So Robbie, here's the choice we all have, right? If we stay in that, we are supporting the ego of humanity to act out. If we choose to move into a soul-aware, soul-empowered consciousness, we can separate ourselves from the fact that that's going to play itself out, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not participating in it, you're not feeding it, and you're actually creating a foundation for light and for good, that when those who are tired of self-destructing decide that there's something more, they can come to you. But they can't come to you if you go down here and go, So,
Well, okay, but the dilemma is I considered saying, all right, I'm all done with Twitter. However, if I do that, then I will no longer have my voice for democracy heard.
doesn't mean that you can't stay on Twitter and talk about democracy, but you detach from your anger against Elon Musk.
Yeah, have to let that go.
That's what Michael Singer calls noise.
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 Yeah.
He
A
talks
lot of noise going on.
Yeah, because he talks about, sitting and leaning back and just allow the noise without you engaging. And then I was thinking of Gary Zukav when the pandemic first started, that everybody was in chaos. He talked about not joining the collective that way and raising higher vibrationally, because that would just promote more of that chaos. So it's so true, though. All of it is so true.
But the good news is it gets better.
Mhm.
But just like a pimple has to have pus, and it's got to get, it's got to get depussed, and and then it's got to heal. We're in the very big pus part. We're
Oh, yeah. There's going to be an eruption.
Yeah. The last piece of this was flooding, which I thought it was so interesting in terms of the flooding of emotions. The more you experience that, communication becomes harder to do because of the resistance of having to go, feeling that flooding of having to engage that way. And she talked about it not just with relationships, but also at work. You know, the dread of I have to go talk to the boss because of all that flooding. It's like it pushes you to want to shut down and not have a voice. So I was thinking about all of the times I experienced that flooding. I used to work at Lockhart Phillips, which is a motorcycle enthusiast company at the time. I don't think it's around anymore. And I remember my supervisor, he was one of the owners. He thrived on making people feel awful. I mean, I could just see the people just as they were walking down to his office, because his was on the other side, the dread that they would feel because they're like, I feel like I can't speak up. And what happened to me is that because I watched it so much, I started feeling it too. And I would become so angry because I'm like, why am I giving this man any power? But it's that flooding of emotions.
Marie, you know, the flooding, and I'm looking at the book too, and Gottman says it's a sensation of feeling psychologically and physically overwhelmed during conflict, making it virtually impossible to have a productive problem-solving discussion. I had that exact thing happen to me yesterday, and it was. I'm going to merge the 4 agreements with this one because I was trying to be true and straightforward about an issue with my roommate, and I felt I should be, you know, yet at the same time as I'm having the conversation with her, I'm flush, my heart's racing, you know, and I'm trying to be chill, and I'm not being, you know, wildly emotional or anything, but physically, I'm just totally overwhelmed. Everything was on overdrive. And I'm not sure how you avoid that. I was not happy that was happening. You know, I could sense it, but what do you do?
I would say start with the breath.
Yeah, the conscious breath is everything. And I try to remember that.
Because that oxygenates the brain, which allows more clarity to come through. And I know when you're in that state, it's kind of hard to go into, I need to take a breath, but it makes a world of difference. It all starts with the breath.
And
you know,
also,
the alternative. Oh, go ahead, honey.
I'm sorry. I am hearing that if our exhale is longer than our inhale, which should also be slow, it innervates the vagus nerve and puts us in a state of calmness, relaxation.
Yeah. So you switch from sympathetic into the parasympathetic,
Yes.
and that
Yes, exactly.
stops the limbic system from going, oh, there's an emergency.
Yeah.
So.
Because, you know, the alternative in that situation, at least for many people, including myself, would be to avoid it. And I never avoid, but, you know, I look real strong for people, but it takes a toll on me if it comes with all those other trappings, physiological ones.
Sometimes I try to do choose love and kindness, but it's love and kindness towards myself and the other person. I'm not trying to take myself out of it like a martyr, but I think that and I'm wondering, Ilona or anybody, you know, we have this election coming up that doesn't look like it's going to go very well. And so that means like you're flooding yesterday, we're probably going to have similar feelings in a week or so, I would imagine. And so I'm trying to take what Ilona is saying to us, trying to hear what you're saying about your roommate and going, and it's going to be our country. How do we do that? You know, it's like, you know.
That's so hard. I mean, right now, building up to it, I can't even, you know, I scan headlines and then move, because if it doesn't sound promising, it's going to upset me. I'm just moving, you know, but at a certain point.
But I'm going to say for all of us, put out the energy, right, that the Democrats keep going, right? That, you know, just put it out there. See that election as positive. See your Democrats being elected. Just keep visualizing it, moving it through, putting it out there. Don't give in to any fear or self-doubt now, because that defeats the point, right? Put as much positive energy into the collective consciousness of the United States of America. let it reach through to the people who are willing to have their minds changed. Right. I mean, on one level, what happened to Mr. Pelosi can work in our benefit, can work in the benefits of the Democrats, right? So, I mean, so, you know, so you just have to really continue to focus on the positive, to continue to focus on the most benevolent. You know, it's going to happen. What's going to happen is going to happen. But at least we know that we're putting enormous amounts of spiritual energy into potentials that can physically manifest. But if we're caught up in the fear, we're not putting that energy in where it needs to be.
So I translated your 3 or 4 years to, oh, it must be true. You know, I was thinking,
You just keep going there. I mean, you know, we're not the only country going through this. Oh my God, look at Britain. What a mess, right? So, I mean, you know, talk about Ukraine and Russia, but Britain, right? You know, so again, it's about the focus. It's about the way we trust the soul of humanity, and we choose to build it as evolutionary light workers, and we don't bend to the will of darkness. We just don't.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
Mhm. Beautiful.
And I have to
We
go.
needed that.
So happy Halloween.
Oh, happy
hi, Luna, thank you so
Halloween.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
For
Bye.
next week, we're doing 11 places we go when life is good.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
All right, I have to get going too, but I had a great time with you guys. Have a great week.
It was very
Happy
fun.
birthday.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
happy birthday.
Marilyn, you were so quiet and I could see all these things churning in you.
It's interesting because I know I've shared this before, but not everyone was here. A few years ago, many years ago, I guess, like 15, 17 years ago, my mother and her husband, George, were here and all the kids were here and we were in the kitchen and George could be a little difficult. And I could just feel the tension rising and nobody's yelling and everyone's nice, but you could just feel that and so I went in the other room and I channeled, and it wasn't because I thought of it because I'm smart. I sat down and I heard, what do you feel? Let go of everybody else's stuff. What do you feel? And I took a breath and I just went and took another breath and that happened. And I thought, wow, I have to remember that. And I went back in the kitchen and everything had dissipated. And it was interesting because I was thinking about that. But then, Sophia, when you said avoiding, you don't avoid, I'll go in the other room. It's really interesting because I'll actually say, my kids will make fun of me because I'll say I'm done because I'm at a saturation point, not of anything bad, but whatever it is, and because I'll need to regroup or feel it out. And I think we all are holding the energy, like Penny, like you did yesterday. We're all holding that energy. And the other example of that, which is exactly what Alona was talking about, when we're up there, I think it was the second tree climb, so it was by the redwoods. They were all talking about, I was in the car and there was some scientists and the tree guy, and I was thinking about, it was during the Trump time and he had done some horrible environmental stuff as always. And I said something about being so upset. My God, aren't you so? Because here they're working so hard. And one of the science guys said, oh yeah, we know all about it, but we can't waste our energy on that. We have a job to do. We do what we can. And I really learned something because I was carrying so much anger about the political stuff. And I realized if it pulls me down, how's it going to help me do whatever? And we're human. And I think it's supposed to, because we have boundaries, the fight or flight. We're supposed to, I think, occasionally do that and feel it. But I think we're continually guided. It's like Alona said, we're going to hold that space, go back to the breath. But it's not easy. But we're human.
I think it'd be great if we could do that because we have a week and then the election's the next day. And if we all take a concerted effort to imagine the best possible outcome, yeah, that would be really good. Yeah.
In spite of what the media says and shows us, okay, because they don't show it for us. They show it for the other side. And we have to hold the space for our side, I think.
Absolutely. It's interesting because during that whole administration, I kept channeling in that he wasn't going to last till the end. that he's gonna walk out before. And every time people would ask me like, well, how come it hasn't happened yet? I would ask this every time. It was exactly the analogy. It was like an infection and it has to be exposed. The whole thing has to be exposed. So when it was the last day, I thought, wow, so is that not the right information? And I heard laughing out there and they said, he didn't show Biden around, he walked out. He didn't finish his commitment. He did not, even though he did it on the same day. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And during the insurrection, everybody's getting so, and I'm watching it and I kept hearing, it's so other than people being hurt, of course, I just kept hearing, this needs to be exposed. For something to be healed, you need to see the root of the infection and know what's going on. And that's what's happening now. And what I'm channeling in is it isn't so much about politics the way that Nazis, that wasn't about politics anymore either. It goes beyond that and it's about decency. So we have to maintain our decency, but still have boundaries where people who are not decent to others don't have that strength and yet keep our vibration high. So Janet, you're right. We have to really focus and get out there and vote, but we are contributing to the higher vibration of it always. I really think we are.
And the following Monday after, you guys will all be here, right?
taking whatever you call it.
The plan, hopefully celebrating.
Taking attendance, that's what I was going to
Yes,
say.
we will celebrate.
Yes.
We'll celebrate because eventually it will be 2032.
Well,
Penny and I are going, are we going to be around, right?
yeah,
I was calculating
I have
too.
a question.
We'll
about
be
that.
here. We just may not be in physical bodies.
Oh,
We will
okay.
be
Yes.
here.
I can see that.
Kind of motivates me to get healthier or stay healthy so that I can watch the
It would be
transition.
nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
To be able to see it and feel it and be in it. Yeah, that would be really, I don't know what the word is, but anyway, I'd like to do that in good health.
I think we will, just like I think
Good
that things
health.
will go well next week. You know, Marilyn, we had Lisa to hold us together during those 4 years when we were like insane, remember? And she would try to calm us down and she's really good at that.
This is
Well, it's like PTSD.
Yeah. That's actually why I
It's like
joined Twitter, because I needed to vent. It was
As
the
soon as
worst
he-
4
as
years
soon as
of
he-
my life.
Yeah, as soon as he was elected, I went into shock. And then I've had PTSD about him forever. Well, I've stopped doing that, but that's the way I felt about it. And other people have too. You just don't
Yeah.
get it. It's like such a total turnaround from what we're used to. And, turnarounds can be good, but this wasn't. This was not good. So,
But-
let's take some lights off for COVID. Why don't we
One
do that?
positive though, if I can share, it taught me that just how much hatred there is
Yeah.
in this country and how much divisiveness there is. I would not have ever imagined that if he had not won.
Well, maybe we
Oh.
should not have know about
Well, he made what was hidden in the corners mainstream, right?
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
And that's the only way it can heal. We have to get it out into the open to heal
Yep.
it with
Yeah.
light. If we didn't know the darkness was there, we wouldn't have known our assignment. Our assignment is, if you accept the assignment, what was that show that used to be out there?
Impossible.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
How cool that you guys remember that. I need to go, so I'm going to send this over to somebody's got to help me.
I gotta go too, honey.
Um,
I'll see you guys.
All right.
We probably
Bye,
I'm gonna stay positive.
hang it up.
Yes, we will do
Bye-bye.
that. All right, bye.
Okay.
This was
Bye.
lovely.
Bye.
Thank
It's
you.
really
This was
good.
wonderful.